There's a library feud a-brewin' in Montana. Books about bad blood flow in the library aisles. The Dewey Decimal Wild Hunt rides wild through the stacks. We all yearn for the days when the audiobooks about guns fall silent. Okay, a bit much, but not really. It's not good, and despite the jokey premise of a library fight, it's worse than you'd think. See, the feud is between the Montana Library Commission and the Montana Library Association. The commission is a bunch of Republican appointees, and the Library Association is a bunch of librarians. And you may think you know what the root of this feud is. You heard Republicans and librarians and thought, well, there's going to be some fur flying there. And you were absolutely correct. Book banning is back on the menu, boys. And Montana has a rich and stupid history of book banning. For example, they've banned copies of the Rolling Stone, they've banned a book of witch poetry, and they've even banned James Baldwin because his book was too edgy for Montana State University freshmen. Back in the present, let's see how bad it's gotten by looking at a recent meeting of the Montana Library Commission, who has developed quite the antagonistic relationship with librarians. Allow me to introduce you to Commission member Carmen Cuthbertson, appointed by Republican Governor Greg Gianforte. She's here to litigate a grievance with the librarians of the state.
As you all know, our last business meeting took place at the MLA, Montana Library Association, conference in Butte. What you may not know is that there is a second event, apparently also traditional, called Conversation with the Commission. This is an informal event. It's not recorded, no business is being conducted, and it just allows for a discussion between librarians and the commission members.
So that's the setup. There's a conference, there's a meeting between commissioners and librarians. Let's see how it turned out.
The conversation with the commission happens at the invitation of the MLA. This year, only 4 librarians came to talk.
Oh, that's funny. Only 4 people showed up? Why, did they get lost? Did they walk in and hand you their coats like you were coat check or something?
As we, the commissioners, found out later, the conversation was being boycotted by the MLA and its members.
The incoming president of the Montana Library Association has confirmed that this was the case. I'd also like to point out something so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. No one outside of the conference knew about this boycott. The only reason this has achieved wider awareness is because Carmen got so upset about it, she decided to throw a tantrum about it. Anyway, back to Carmen.
I can't be sure whether the boycott was called for by the official MLA leadership or just by a few influential members who convinced their fellow librarians to boycott the event. At some point during the discussion with the librarians that did show up, the commission was handed an unsigned, anonymous letter stating that the conversation was being boycotted. I was and continue to be very disappointed about this.
You may be wondering if the letter itself is discussed, but it is not. We get no hint of the contents of this letter, and I'm sending an email to the commission to see if I can get a copy of the letter, but I have a hunch why it wasn't released. See, if they release the letter, well, everyone knows why the boycott happened. Because that's what a letter would say. It wouldn't just say boycott this and nothing else. It would give reasons. If they keep it off screen, they can just say they were.
I was and continue to be very disappointed about this.
Like they are the mature adults in the room, although that does get slightly undercut by Carmen's next sentence.
First off, an anonymous letter doesn't allow the commission to respond in any way. It's a very cowardly way to communicate, and frankly puts me in mind of the Ku Klux Klan members who wore masks so they couldn't be identified. You're engaging in similar behavior when you distribute anonymous letters.
Librarians distributing an anonymous letter to advocate for a boycott of a meeting is similar to the KKK. So I guess that makes the commission the civil rights movement? Which one of these people do you think is Martin Luther King and which one is Malcolm X? But that's how bad it's gotten. A Montana State Library Commissioner is calling librarians cowards and comparing them to the KKK. The actual librarians are boycotting meetings with the State Library Commission. How the hell did we get here? Well, there are a lot of explanations, but the one I favor can best be explained by Carmen Cuthbertson herself. You see, she hasn't always been on the Library Commission. Before that, she was just a normal civilian like you or me. But that doesn't mean she wasn't involved in our local library. No. And in January 2022, she was there to testify. And you'll never guess what it was about.
And I'm not here to discuss book banning. I am challenging a book. Challenging a book is not a bad thing. Challenging anything is not a bad thing. Where would our country be if people had not challenged the prevailing thinking about race back in the 1960s?
Okay, maybe you can, yes. She was there trying to ban a book. She can say challenge all she wants, but when you remove the book from the library, you aren't fooling anyone. On screen is a copy of Carmen's challenge attempt where she says she wants the book gone. So yes, that's a book banner on the State Library Commission. And yes, she also tried to compare book banning to the civil rights movement. Because we all remember when Martin Luther King led the Montgomery book boycott. And you might be thinking at this point, okay, she's a book burner. No wonder the rank-and-file librarians want nothing to do with the Library Commission. And yes, that's a good chunk of it, but I want you to get the exact flavor of what we are dealing with. The book she's talking about is Genderqueer, by a name I'm not even going to attempt. And when discussing it at a library meeting in January 2022, she snottily accuses everyone else of not having read it.
So let's get on with the business at hand. I am personally willing to discuss the merits of Genderqueer with anyone. Anyone who has read the book, that is. Because I don't see how I can discuss a book with someone who hasn't read it.
Wow, can't imagine why she has trouble dealing with other people. She sounds like a wonderful person to be around. But more importantly, the assertion of her special knowledge of the book is very funny. Because Genderqueer didn't hit conservative hit lists until late September 2021, when a parent did a presentation at a school board and Fox News vomited through their megaphone. Guess who filed their challenge on the book roughly 2 weeks later? If you said Carmen, give yourself a point. Now for a trickier question. The local library has meeting minutes going back until January 2020. Guess who, until October 2021, had not addressed the library board on any issue? If you said Carmen again, give yourself another point. So despite the arrogant attitude at the local library meeting, she hadn't read the book until she heard about it on Fox News, and less than a month later she had filed a challenge, and then showed up every month afterwards to complain about the book. Quite the attitude for someone who didn't care about the book until Fox News told her to do so. So bringing this whole thing back to where we started.
As we, the commissioners, found out later, the conversation was being boycotted by the MLA and its members.
You can see why this happened. Sure, there are other issues involved, withdrawal from the American Library Association and reducing the qualifications necessary to be a head librarian, but at the end of the day, are librarians ever going to get along with a book banner? Because my answer is no, especially one who hedges her words like Carmen Cuthbertson, because she didn't tell the whole truth when she was whining about how people weren't lining up to meet Her Highness. And I have but one reaction to that.
I was, and continue to be, very disappointed about this.
No, she had to have known that no one was going to show up. And do you know why? Well, since this is a convention, there's never just one event going on. Things get scheduled for the same time at different places so more stuff can get done. But also so people who aren't interested in thing 1 can go do thing 2, and so on. It's a time-saving thing. So what do you think they scheduled against Carmen and the rest of the Montana State Library Commission? Oh dear, the Intellectual Freedom Chat Session. Well, that is a very specific message to be sending. I mean, I knew exactly what they meant. You'd have to be a complete moron to know what it meant. But apparently someone on the Montana State Library Commission saw that and thought that people would be lining up to get pictures with book-burning Santa Claus. So to put a cherry on top of this, librarians have to deal with a lot from the book burner. Less than a year after Carmen gave her big speech on banning books, the library system received some book returns that had bullet holes in them. I mean, this is from a school board meeting about a month ago.
You want to talk about child safety? Get this smut and porn and filth out of our schools. Give me a break. The slicing, cutting, beastology. I mean, geez, give me a break. You reading this stuff, I almost puked. Listening to that stuff. And our tax dollars are paying for this, and you've got the balls to come ask us for more money for this crap. For public safety, do your job first.
Do you think librarians in Montana feel safe? Do you think they feel supported by the State Library Commission that compares them to the KKK? Because I don't. I don't think they feel safe at all. And it's galling to blame them for not making the effort to reach out to a commission that's using them to score cheap political points. Anyway, that's the video, but I am adding a new feature here at the end. This channel is very concerned with the availability of public meetings online. To that end, whenever I make a video that uses recordings of public meetings, I'm going to let you know how impressive their archives are. I'm going to let you know how good they are at archiving things. Because these aren't just important for transparency purposes. They are important for history purposes. The rating scale goes as follows. 5 years worth of archives gets you a bronze star, 10 years gets a silver star, and 20 years gets a gold star. I viewed 3 separate archives: the Flathead County Library Trustees Archives, the Montana Library Commission Archives, and the Billings School Board Meeting Archives. The Montana Library Commission, collect your bronze star. 6 years worth of commission meetings, not the best formatted records, but it's all on YouTube and easily accessible. Thank you for your efforts. Billings School Board Archives only goes back to 2022 as far as I can tell. Thanks for trying. Flathead County Library. Your trustees' meetings are posted online, audio only, and not good quality audio at that. I realize it's a small county and resources are limited, so no penalty for that. Any effort is appreciated. Where my problem comes in is that archived meetings only go back to the beginning of 2023. If you'll notice, this video had audio from 2022, when current Flathead County Library trustee Carmen Cuthbertson was trying to ban a book. I had to get that from another source unrelated to the Flathead County Library. It's hard not to believe that all the audio from that year was scrubbed because it might make her look bad. They should post that audio as soon as possible so people don't get the wrong idea. I'm History Sock, and I'll see you at the next committee meeting.